Hello, Lightworkers. I have an important message for you today. This is Rebecca Abraxas. We're here on this channel remembering our greatness together. We are expanding consciousness. We're diving deep so we can rise high. I have a message for you today that may stir things up for you, may stir the pot with some of the belief systems we have around our mission here as light workers. Let's see, I have I have 4 things to tell you about. There's 4 parts to the message that I want to tell you about that are really going to help, lighten your load and help you find some ease and flow with what's next for our light worker missions. Okay, so let's dive in. So as a light worker, we feel we're here, we're seeking, we're remembering, we have awakened, we are raising our vibration, and we feel a real pull to be of service here on the planet. That's basically a light worker. And we can pop into that remembrance at any time in our lives. It doesn't mean we have to see ourselves as a child or remember that, we were doing that work as a child. All of a sudden you could be a teenager, all of a sudden a middle age, or all of a sudden in your senior journey, all of a sudden you're like, I think I'm a light worker now. Great. Okay. So if you felt compelled to hear this message, here it is just for you. I am speaking to you. You right here, right here. All right, light worker. So how many times have we as light workers made choices and reached out to help others as a responsibility or an obligation or part of a contract? Okay, it's time to let these things go. So 4 things I'm going to talk about today. The first one I'm going to talk about is obligation. Okay, as light workers, there's kind of this like heavy obligation that we have to hold on to, that we have to live with. It's just like our obligation to serve the planet. And how many lifetimes have you been a servant? Have you been a chained servant? Okay. How about we clear that? Okay. Now you can use something just clear and cut. Okay. Or destroy and uncreate that. All right. I'm going to run a access consciousness clearing statement for any light worker who feels the energy of an obligation of service. Okay, so here it is for you. All the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, bindings, and contracts that I have made to be of service and to be a servant to something or someone else. And everything that is, I'm going to destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyond. Now, sometimes when we do a clearing like that, people are like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want to clear my contract of service. I don't want to clear my obligation. This gives me a sense of purpose. This gives me, well, the thing is, guys, you can still choose once you clear something. But obligation is an energy of control. Obligation is not of the light. So guys, there's some things we have to really talk about here. As we move forth from 2020 into 2021, we have to get very clear to be able to be of service and not be contracted to do service. It's kind of different, okay? So almost like being contract to serve is almost like we don't have any choice. When we are being of service, we can choose. I want to choose to be of service today. Or today, it's not my obligation. I'm not feeling the call kind of thing. And I'm going to get into what the difference is later on about like what makes us go do something as light workers, okay? And this is the first one that we want to get rid of, this obligation factor, this obligation to serve, okay? So I'm going to run that clearing one more time. All the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, bindings, and contracts that you have made through all lifetimes, dimensions, and realities and multiverses to be a servant to someone or something. Let's destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. Now, when you hear that clearing statement, it might kind of boggle your mind. It's supposed to go past the thinking mind. It may also bring up some more space or a little bit more lightness to you. So if that's the case and it feels like a match for you, write this down and repeat it a lot over the next week. Okay? All right, so number 2 is that sense of responsibility. Like the growth and the evolution of the planet is your responsibility. You know, as light workers, we carry a lot of this type of responsibility energy. And again, that's going to keep us from getting in the flow. That's going to be required of us as light workers in 2021. So we need to get rid of that obligation energy and also this responsibility energy. All right. Both of them are kind of like these chains and these weights holding us down, like the ball and chains that we're carrying. So again, let's do another clearing. You can clear and cut all responsibilities from past realities. Okay, and I'll do it in a access clearing statement here. So all the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, bindings, and contracts that I have made through all years, realities, dimensions, dream states, multiverses, to be responsible, to have the responsibility of the world on me and everything that is and everything that brings up. Let's destroy and uncreate that. Times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. We're just clearing energy here, okay? So I'm going to run that one more time. See if it brings up a little bit more space for you. See if it just brings up some lightness. So all the oaths, vows, fealties, communings, bindings, and contracts that I have made through all multiverses, times, realities, dimensions, and dreams to hold the weight of the world and be responsible for all of it, and wear the responsibility on my shoulders. I destroy and uncreate times a godzillion, right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. So if that created a little lightness for you, copy this down and say it over and over again. What we're doing is clearing out electromagnetic energy from eons and eons, okay? Not just from this lifetime. We're really clearing house right now, which is really required in this 2020 December and at any time in reality. It's just good to clear the energetic house. So number 3, guys, is guilt. Okay, how many of us light workers hold guilt as our impetus to take action? Okay, how many of us have used our spirituality or in the past our religion, our religious guilt, our guilt around not being enough and not serving enough and not, helping enough? Okay, how many of us have had such an intense time with awakening and ascension symptoms that we feel guilty around having to do self-care and not help, not fulfill our obligation, our responsibilities? So all that guilt, it's time to destroy and uncreate it. It is just a distraction, guys. So what we want to do is really let go of the distraction of guilt. Okay, so I'm just gonna, today in this video, I'm just gonna keep using this access consciousness clearing statement because I have found that it's really potent. But there's other ways you can clear this, right? You can bring it to your meditation, you can sing it out, you can clear and cut, you can use Reiki, whatever you want to do. But if you want to use these clearing statements, write them down and do them over and over again, like 30 times a day for the next week. And so guilt, let's just clear this guilt energy. All the oaths, vows, fealties, communings, bindings, and contracts that I have made through all lifetimes, dimensions, realities, multiverses, and dreams to hold the ball and chain of guilt. And I'm not worthy enough. and the guilt and the guilt and the guilt and everything that is and everything that brings up. We want to clear and cut, destroy, and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. Did that create a little bit of lift? Did that boggle your mind? These are some ways that you can tune into, something just shifted. Okay, let's run it one more time. All the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, bindings, and contracts that you have made through all lifetimes, dimensions, realities, multiverses, and dreams to forever be guilt-ridden and hold guilt, 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 guilt from past religious experiences, from past compassion programs, everything that is and everything that brings up. Let's clear and cut, destroy, and uncreate it times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. Okay, hopefully that created a little lightness. If you want to know what this clearing statement is and what the heck I'm doing, you can go to theclearingstatement.com. Access Consciousness has a pretty cool website explaining about the clearing statement, that what I'm just saying. When I say right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond, it's kind of a shortened version of what I'm doing. And on the website, it'll tell you what each thing means. So if you want to find out what I'm doing, I have found the clearing statement to be pretty powerful in reprogramming. Okay, reprogramming the energy body and the mind and the physical body. So, give these a try if you've never heard of this. If it feels light and these clearing statements are creating a little bit of lightness in your field, give it a try. All right, so number 4, contracts. Now, throughout these past 3 things we just talked about, obligation, responsibility, and guilt, we did talk about contracts a bit. But contracts are something really to look at, because there's a lot of contracts that can be kind of sneaky. We can have contracts that were made as we were leaving our lifetime in some other life, that something didn't end in a certain way that we wanted to, so we committed to make a contract to do something different. Or even relationships, okay? Relationships like marriage, death do us part. Well, there is no death, so you're constantly bound through all time and space. So how guilt-ridden, responsible, and obligated do you feel to the person you're married to, or to another person that perhaps you were married to in a past life? These are contracts that it's time to break. How many contracts do you have to your children? How many contracts do you have to your, as a light worker, to your clients? Okay, these contracts, these unseen contracts, keep us locked into a choiceless reality. So when we destroy and uncreate the contracts, it doesn't mean all that reality you're in front of you, the people and people in your life go away. It just means you have more choice in that reality now with them. So if you would like to break some of those contracts that you feel like just have you binded to a choiceless reality, let's do it. So all the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, and contracts that I have made through all lifetimes, dimensions, realities, dreams, and multiverses, that keeps me locked into a choiceless reality. Let's destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. One more time. All the oaths, vows, fealties, communities, bindings, and contracts that I've made through all lifetimes, dimensions, realities, multiverses, and dreams to keep me bound and choiceless in my life, I destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyond. Now, this might create a little bit more flow. You might feel your head kind of like have more space, or just hearing the clearing statement might kind of like boggle your mind, and that's okay. That means you're getting something out of it. Electromagnetic energy is how we're made up, okay? It's a frequency. It's a rate of vibration. And all these contracts, all the guilt, responsibility, and obligation, all those forms and structures, they have a certain frequency that are in our electrical makeup. from all time, space, reality. And we get to clear it, because once we have an awareness that that's where we're functioning from, we're like, ah, the light bulb goes off, and we get to say, I would like a different way of functioning. Now, why is this so important right now? This is so important because a paradigm shift is happening, and us light workers have to shift with that paradigm. Okay. So I was telling you this is important because these 4 things are really important because of how we're going to start creating in 2021. So once we clear these 4 things, it's really cool, because then we can get into this flow of inspired action, inspired doing. And that can't happen unless we get obligation, responsibility, guilt, and contracts out of the way. If we're still bound by those 4 things, we can't really be aware of what's an inspired action. So this may require you to kind of like go inward for the rest of the month, really go inward to just feel like where your sense of doing comes from, your sense of choice comes from. Okay. When we have obligation, responsibility, guilt, and contracts, our impetus to make choice and our impetus to go be of service comes from those things. And even though it seems like a choice, it's not. So we need to clear those 4 things so that we can really get into inspired action. Inspired action comes from flowing from source, right? And sometimes it looks like self-care first. Sometimes it looks like just being in nature. Sometimes it just looks like enjoying yourself. And that's how you're going to be the biggest contribution to the planet. So this insatiable need to help others is most likely an obligation, responsibility, guilt, or contract that you really want to start clearing out. Really want to clear that out by the end of the year. So this new paradigm shift for that's starting to happen on the solstice of 2020. It's really asking us to manifest in a different way, to actualize our lives in a different way, to be the vibration of the life we most desire first. Not seeing it, not insisting it look a certain way, not having to have it this, and that. No vision board, okay? Be the frequency. Now you can't be the frequency of source and flow and light if we're bound by forms and structures like obligation, responsibility, guilt, and contracts. This is why it is so imperative that we clear these by the end of the year so that you can really get into this new paradigm of manifesting and actualizing. So go back and listen to these clearing statements. Go back and listen and write them down, which ones seem to work for you, and repeat them over and over again, okay? Or use your tool or your way of doing it, but make sure obligation, responsibility, guilt, and contracts, those 4 energies get cleared from your light body, from your mind, from your physical body, okay? We hold it in all those places, okay? Really want to get vigilant about clearing those energies and coming into just a pure source energy through us, okay? This is the season of light. This is a beautiful time to release and open back up so that in January you can really just launch into this new paradigm from inspired action. And what does inspired action look like? It's not agenda. There's no agenda. There's no like I have to serve. Okay, there's no agenda. It's like, what feels light today to do? Oh, okay. I'm just going to sit on my meditation pillow for 5 hours. Feels great. Oh, I'm going to go skiing. Oh, I'm going to make dinner for my family. That feels like an inspired action. Not out of obligation, not out of responsibility, but because I want to. And if you have to cook out of obligation or responsibility, like order out, get someone else to cook. See if you can start switching those habits of obligation, responsibility, and guilt. And see if you can, if you start noticing that you're acting out from that space, see if you can pull back and see if you can just delegate or give it to something else or teach the kids to cook or I don't know. So yeah, how do we respond to life without a sense of responsibility, obligation, or guilt, or a sense of contract? Especially when we are heads of households or, have work situations. Well, you can pull yourself back and say something has to get done, right? Notice your habit of going forth in responsibility, guilt, or obligation. And then come on back, take a pause and be like, what if I didn't go forth with those energies? What if I came at it a different way? What else is, you can ask the question, what else is possible here? What's right about making this meal or writing this report? What's right and light? What's light about writing this report? And then you may get a perspective where you leave obligation, responsibility, guilt over here and say, oh, wow, I love expressing myself this way. Or, oh, it's really fun to cook. So get into the flow of the activity. Okay, so we can come at it from the flow of obligation and responsibility, or we can come at it with creativity and inspired action. So, you still do the activity, but you're coming at it from a different way. And that's going to be really important to really learn the difference between the perspective you're coming at it with. Okay, inspired action or obligation. All right. Beautiful, beautiful light worker. Thank you for being on the planet. And please know that your beingness is enough. Just being here on earth at this time, seeking and being and just allowing the light to come through you is enough. So if you are working through any obligation, responsibility, guilt, and contracts that keep you in this kind of like, oh, I have to help, this kind of energy, time to reel that back in, clear it out, and learn how to get into inspired action. Let me know if this was helpful to you. Let me know if those clearing statements are helpful to you, and if you need help with understanding what I said. And as always, if you could use a little support with your awakening and ascension process and just being a light worker during this time of the Great Awakening, please let me know. You can go to RebeccaAbraxas.com. I have a free discovery call, or you can just sign up for a mentoring session, and I'd be happy to work with you and support you during this beautiful time in history. Namaste, beautiful being.